Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bandit's Den. Today, I want to talk about incense, how I use it, and my favorites and all that shit. Now, historically, incense was used as primarily offerings to gods. And then later on in history, it was used for burial ceremonies because corpses really stink. And if you guys don't know, the embalming process, it really stops all of that, and it keeps a body looking fresh, because they like carve your insides out, and they put screws in the person's jaw to keep their mouth closed, and they sew their eyes shut. And they essentially like totally maim a corpse, and then they suck all of the blood out and pump a bunch of embalming fluid into the corpse, and it's a really sick violation of a human corpse, in my opinion. But back in the day, before all of this scientifical shit, they would just leave a corpse whole and let it wait until they could perform, or until whatever Sabbath they're supposed to bury corpses on. And they'd just let the corpse sit. They wouldn't do anything to it. And so the skin would turn dark because of coagulated blood, and like dark gray or whatever. And it would start stinking really bad. And so people would use incense to cover the stink of their rotting relative. So that was another use. That's what a lot of people who are against paganism give me shit about, burning incense, especially frankincense and myrrh. They give me shit saying that I'm evil because I love death, and that's why I burn incense. I mean, I can appreciate death as a part of the cycle of life. It is a necessary part, because everything that is alive must die eventually. So I mean, I can appreciate it. I don't celebrate it at all. And burning incense definitely is not the intention. Burning incense, the intention is not to celebrate death and worship death or whatever. Though there are some pagans who probably do celebrate death somewhere. Somewhere out there in this crazy wild world of diversity. But I've never heard of it. Now, yeah, my favorite type of incense is loose incense. It's probably one of the oldest known methods. But I put this grate on top of this thing, put the concave side down. Some people put it up, which is crazy to me. I mean, your coal slides off and it'll fall on your altar and catch the goddamn thing on fire. So if you don't like burning your house down, you put it facing down. And then put the coal on top of it and put loose incense on top of the burning coal, and boom, you got some good smelling fucking smoke all up in your house. Now, I don't do that very often because I have animals, so the only time I do that is when I have the animals locked outside. But of course, in this kind of weather, I mean, it's like 105 outside right now when I'm recording this. Of course, this kind of weather, I can't lock them outside, so I haven't burned any loose incense since spring, when I could lock my dog outside, when it was nice and cool. So the other stuff that I burn, and I burn it for two reasons. One, as offering to gods. That's especially my intent with loose incense. With stick incense and cone incense, it's more to separate my daily life from my home life, because it's one of the senses that's usually in the background, right? The sense of smell. And it kind of cuts my day into sections, because obviously I don't burn incense at work. I'm sure that would be a safety violation. So I use it for that, and I try to remain spiritual outside of my house, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, and sometimes a non-spiritual response to certain stimuli really is what's needed for people to get the point, if you know what I'm saying. So I can definitely be spiritual 100% of the time in my own house. And that's essentially what I'm aiming to remind me of while burning incense. And it leaves a constant sense, right, of smell, because it lingers. So it kind of evens out the tone of everything, I suppose. But anyways, my favorite loose incenses are frankincense and myrrh. But I also have pinon resin and Palo Santo resin. And I also have dragon's blood. Dragon's blood, I only use it in winter, because it doesn't look like dragon's blood when you burn it on just a plain coal. But when I put it on my wood burning stove, I just place it directly on the top of it when it's running full force, when I have enough wood in it to heat up the top enough. It looks like dragon's blood on my stove. So this red crystal looking thing, you put it on the stove and it melts into a red puddle, a red viscous puddle that starts boiling. And it's a deep red. It looks like what you would imagine dragon's blood to look like. And it smokes, and it emits a really beautiful smell. So I reserve that one for winter. That's my winter specific incense. Same for loose powdered sandalwood. I just sprinkle a little bit of that on my wood stove, and it pretty much vanishes. It just goes up into smoke and it's gone. So it's good for like little spouts of incense smoke. So anyways, during this time of year, I don't burn a whole lot of loose incense. What I do is I burn stick incense and bundles. And I get these big stick incenses called the Big Stick. And they burn for 4 hours. They don't emit as much smoke as you would think. So it never fills up the house. When I first got them, I thought that's what it would do. So I was concerned for the dogs. But it just lets out a little bit of smoke all throughout the thing. But it lasts for 4 hours, which is really good. Because sometimes you like to just let it go for 4 hours. So those are really handy. I also use small sticks, which last maybe an hour. And my favorite big stick is patchouli. And then my favorite small stick is Big Hit from Satya. Those are pretty good. And I don't really see a violation of my traditions that I'm trying to follow in burning all these different kinds of incense that are from all kinds of different cultures and areas of the world, because nobody really knows for certain because it wasn't documented. Nobody knows for certain any exact recipes of what the old Norse people used to burn for incense. It's just documented that they did, and the purpose was for spiritual purposes and offerings to gods. That's about all we know. Don't know any specific ingredients. I suppose you could look at natural flora in Scandinavia and pick out aromatic herbs and aromatic woody plants and come make up a hypothesis of what kind of recipes they used to make incense. But you can't come up with anything exact. So I just stick to stuff that's widely available. But something I do that's known to be from a totally different pagan culture, pagan spirituality, or whatever, and one that's known for a specific use that I use is bundles. And I have and Palo Santo. I have Palo Santo. I also have sage and the other one, Yerba Santa. And I burn those from time to time. I don't really use them like most people smudge, right? Most people smudge and stuff. And yeah, that's the funny thing is it's a Native American practice. It is most definitely 100% a Native American practice. And people try to act like we have no idea where the hell this practice came from, and they use it for witchcraft specific purposes. And I've seen so many times. I've seen so many times people talking about smudging and something else that's a Native American practice. And they're totally unaware that smudging is a Native American practice. And it's not even called that. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's not called that. And they'll be talking about these two things, smudging and something else that's Native American, and they'll be concerned about that other thing they're talking about, if they do it, being cultural appropriation. I just can't stand when I see witches who do smudging all the time. They do smudging in their house. They do smudging in their backyard. They even smudge every implement on their altar. And they just religiously use smudging for fucking everything. In my mind, it's a lazy way of cleansing things. But anybody that practices that should absolutely not be concerned about cultural appropriation. Somebody who very prevalently uses smudging in their practice shouldn't be concerned ever about cultural appropriation, because one of the keystone parts of their practice is culturally appropriated, which is smudging. So that's one thing that pisses me off about how stupid some people are about these kinds of things. Not only that, but who gives a fuck about cultural appropriation shit? I mean, I don't care if some Hispanic guy wants to become a heathen. It doesn't fucking matter. I mean, it's whatever gods you're most comfortable with. Whatever pantheon, whatever tradition you feel most comfortable with. I mean, you know, if that person believes in reincarnation, they could have been a Norse, an ancient Norse person from Scandinavia in their past life, you know? I mean, who are you to tell people, oh, you can and can't worship these gods, you can and can't do these pagan practices? You can do whatever the fuck you want, okay? That's enough ranting about that. So, I mean, I did conduct a little smudging while getting that demon out of my guest bedroom. Demon, for lack of a better word. I've never had anybody tell me a better definition. Like I said, maybe it was a discontented wight that just wasn't happy with the offerings I was making to my house whites, which that's spelled W-I-G-H-T. Remember, people, I'm not talking about white people, all right? And I don't know, maybe it was just a mischievous spirit that wanted to fuck with me. Whatever. You know, but the reason I lightly, loosely do smudging is because, I mean, it can't hurt. And I try to keep that separate from my Norse practices. I never smudge anything on my ancestor altar or my deity's altar. I just don't do it. And I try not to smudge in that direction, and I don't leave my smudging implements on those altars. I keep them separate. And I try to keep my ancestors' altar representative of a hearth cult, essentially. But anyways, sage smells really good. Palo Santo probably smells the best out of everything, but it's really expensive to get some high quality, high resin Palo Santo. You can't get it on the internet. Do not get it on the internet because everybody markets their garbage as high resin Palo Santo, and it smells like fucking burning trash when you burn it in comparison to the real thing. I mean, it's mass produced crap is what it is. And there's this one distributor locally that they don't make a big deal. It's hidden in this dark corner of their shop, and there's a stack of Palo Santo there, and that is some high quality motherfucking shit. It's high resin, it burns well, and it smells fucking fantastic, just like it should. It smells just as good as burning straight up Palo Santo resin. Yeah, I don't dig these, and I've tried a couple different ones online, these distributors of Palo Santo. You know what I do with it? I throw it in a fucking fire as an offering, because I don't want to smell that shit, But it is Palo Santo, it's just not high resin Palo Santo. So whenever I want to add a little extra oomph to a sacrifice, I throw some Palo Santo in there with it, in the fire. And it either goes out my chimney or it just rises into the air if I'm having a bonfire in my backyard. And I don't have to worry about that stink lingering in my house. It's like an after stink. Like, sure, sometimes here and there throughout the burning of it smells like Palo Santo. But there's other parts where it just smells like a fucking dirty campfire. So anyways, that's what it looks like for me. It's to help me get into a spiritual mentality, and it also doubles as an offering to my gods. And then whenever I burn incense on my workings altar that's behind me, I tend to incorporate the remnants of it into whatever ongoing workings that I have in order to keep them going, keep them happy and well adjusted so that they don't do something stupid, Something stupid. I'm like, what the fuck, And then I'm like, oh, wait, I wasn't tending to that thing. And that's why the universe decided to play a fucking joke on me. It happens, though. Anyways, I hope this wasn't too boring for any of you. As far as loose incense distributors go, you can look at your local herb shop, your local occult store, or if you want good deals, I would say go to their bulk suppliers. Go to the people that supply those occult stores, sadly, because they mark it up so much. I mean, those stores mark it up way too much. I mean, one store I go to marks up frankincense like 10 times in price. I mean, you get this little tiny bag like this for $5 when you can go and get a whole fucking pound of frankincense for $10 on a bulk site. The only thing is you gotta keep that big baggie around until you use it all. But that doesn't bother me because I pretty much got frankincense for life for like $20. Doesn't bother me one bit. I got plenty of space. I live by myself. I'm a hermit. I got a whole house and a warehouse in my backyard. So, doesn't bother me holding on to stuff. So, I've got plenty of space for all of this shit. Anyways, yeah, you guys Keep staying positive out there. Again, sorry if this was kind of boring. I'm probably pretty boring today because I'm nice and relaxed. It's my day off. Been working 6 days a week, and I'm kind of tired because Klaus woke me up too goddamn early. I don't know what to do about that. I guess he's got to piss and shit once in a while, right? But eventually he'll get into the rhythm and I'll get to sleep a little longer on weekends. So anyways, you guys stay safe out there. Don't flip the grates upside down. No matter what other people say, how they use their shit, don't flip it upside down. Your charcoal will fall off. Light your altar on fire and burn your house down. So if you don't want to lose all of your possessions for the sake of spirituality, put the fucking grate on correctly. Like this. Alright? Just like that. So I don't know why these numbnuts are telling people to turn it upside down. So stupid. So yeah. Stay strong out there and don't do anything that'll fuck shit up because it'll come back to you. And of course, have a good one.